Okay, think it's ready, is it?
Yep, that's all
Thank
good.
you. Well, it's Colin here, bloody again here, measles. It's 12:05. I've got to keep an eye on this time. The thing is, measles is that I go over 40 minutes. You can't seem to find my videos. My friend is helping me, and so I try to keep it about 35 minutes. So it's 12:05. It's done by this clock here. Now, what I want to have a look about in this video, there's 3 or 4 things that I want to mention about sex problems in New Zealand that I haven't mentioned, I don't think, before. They're connected with women, actually, but men have got their problems too. Men are twisted molecules. They can be, and women can be twisted molecules too. But you can't put, as I mentioned before, you can't put all women on 0.86. You can't say all women are on 0.86. And you can't put all men on 0.86. You might have a woman at 0.14, living on 0.14. Another one might be 0.182. And you might get other women way up, completely out of way up, and I'm say living on about 0.526 or something like that. The same with males. So you can't put all women on 0.86. For example, I mentioned this on a video. I was in LA years ago, and here measles, and what happened measles is that I saw the sex shop. The police were always harassing it. It was sort of years ago. They probably wouldn't now so much. And what happened was there was a photograph in that sex shop of 2 women with their banners held up. And one of them, at least, probably both of them, had a smile on their face. And they held up this banner which read, "All girls secretly love being raped." Now, you get women that are the opposite. You see, like, as trying to say that all women are not on 0.86. And so that hardly go to the police over the so-called rape thing. Goodness, I mean, what on earth has he done to the woman? I mean, it's nothing more natural he's done to the woman that you can do, and so men are so incredibly dumb. As I mentioned, a woman could so-called rape men every day in the streets, in the supermarkets, in their own homes. They could burst into their home and grab him and dump him on the carpet in the lounge and start kissing him, and then later on fucking him. It would probably be best if she took it more quietly, because even a guy, if he was rough and dumped him, he might difficulty in getting it up, perhaps. But he still wouldn't complain. The only one is that if his partner was there and this girl barged in, and then they got into a fight, saying they pulled on each other's hair. Well, that's different, because that one's not counted, because a woman got in the way. But men on their own would hardly ever complain about the so-called rape thing. For every bloody year, for 10 years or more, every 366 days, every leap year, a woman could be so-called raping men. And see, women have used this rape thing. And but however, I didn't want to sort of speak on this rape thing at the moment. I just happened to mention about it because men are twisted molecules. They can be, but as I say, you see, all men are not the same, you see, or women are not the same. This is why I gave this illustration of I've said it before, so 2 women holding up a banner which read, "All girls secretly love being raped." Then you see they're different from another woman, you see, who complain. They seem to use sex to get even with man for his physical strength. And they seem to use sex also to get equal to man or surpass him over the fact that he is also known as the head of the house. So they use sex again to get hold of that one as well. But I don't want to, as I say, go into this rape thing. Greatest piece of shit actually this world has ever known, because as I say, it's a two-way thing. Well, why is it that men don't complain? And as I say, for 10 years they could fuck them anywhere, everywhere, and they might not get one complaint in 10 years. And just for the first few bloody fucks, and then you'll have a woman complaining about the sexual harassment thing. If it's always sexual harassment, it's always the woman complaining about a man. You could have sexual harassment in all offices in New Zealand. You could have women so-called sexually harassing men, and you wouldn't get, again, you might not get one solitary complaint for years. And if you did get a complaint, he must be some kind of oddball. And this is going on in all offices, say, in New Zealand, every day. Women sexually so-called harassing men. And yet it's a two-way thing. See, I was talking to a couple of guys just recently about this guy in the Cuba Mall. He got, as I mentioned, he got 7 years for kissing a few women. And so surprisingly, the first guy I spoke to sort of defended women on it. He said, oh, you're interfering with her privacy sort of thing. So I was surprised. So the second guy I was talking to, he said the same thing. So then I said to him, what would you do if a woman kissed you in the street? And all of a sudden he jumped up, he sort of straightened up, and a smile came on his face, and he was sort of leaning over a bit at the time, and he suddenly shot up like lightning, and and a smile came over, and he said to me, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said to me, I wouldn't say no to that, mate, I'll take that any time, sort of thing. He said, well, that's being hypocritical, because it's a two-way thing, and it's connected together, that both male and female, they're not a separate situation in this sex thing. It's a combining thing together. They're bound together, sort of thing, like magnet. It's a magnet. A guy feels like he feels the call to slip his hand under a short dress, and that's an urge. He gets caught. He hears the call, so he obeys the call, and then he can get into trouble. And it's not fair when he heard the call. I mean, Rolf Harris heard the call, obeyed the call, and all his bloody tit shows that he had to put up with all these bloody years. And the same with Bill Cosby. I think Bill Cosby's just out of prison now, poor cunt. He heard the call too and obeyed the call. It's dumb men that do it. Well, anyway, I don't want to sort of get too much onto that. Let's see, my time goes. I can put another video on, but I've got to try and keep this within 35 minutes. Don't want to get sidetracked too much here. Now, so it's a connecting thing between two people. And now, so seeing I want to attack, as it were, womanhood here, I want to attack men to make it get a balance here, measles, because if I don't get a balance here, measles, it's not fair. I'm one. Seeing both troublemakers, as it were. See, men are dumb, as I say, well, I might have said in the past. I can imagine womanhood saying about men, oh, men, they're so dumb, they don't know what's going on. And then also the twisted molecules, because I had a guy talk to me, I was talking to a guy once, and he wanted to get into prison, he actually wanted to get into prison to attack some guy on sex matters. Now, why not, if you're going to attack some, I don't know whether he meant he's going to attack him physically or verbally or what, but there's something wrong there. There's something that doesn't measure up here. Why did he want to do that for? Why didn't he not, if he wanted to get into prison, why didn't he pick on murderers? Or somebody burned down a building, or somebody stealing out of houses, or now he wouldn't do it even for this cyber attacks. There's a hospital here in New Zealand and over in America now, as you read in the paper or you've seen on the news, cyber attacking. But if you cyber attack a hospital, which they're doing here in one place in New Zealand here, that's a very serious offence to do that. And yet they didn't have cyber attacking at that time. But if they're cyber attacking now, and somebody was put into prison for cyber attacking a hospital, they wouldn't be after him either. It's sex, you see. And so what they do is they cover for their own sex problems. Men, a lot of them are twisted molecules. And one other thing is that you get a man, as I've mentioned before, he goes up and down New Zealand, vehemently speaking against gays. Now you can be sure that guy, he has a gay problem. He might not be a practicing gay, but he's troubled by gays as far as he's concerned, and therefore he attacks gays to cover up for his gay problem. And that's what this guy said to me personally some years ago. He wanted to get into prison to attack this guy on sex. So he's a twisted molecule too. He's got sex problems probably in that same area, and he wants to attack somebody to cover up for his own sex problems, you see. So men can be twisted molecules too. So I'm on men at the moment because I want to make a balance here. If there was no balance, if men were normal, well they are, they're different. They're sort of the same but different to females. They got twisted molecules. Women are twisted molecules, but they're not all. You see, you can't put all women on 0.68, as you can't put all men on, well, did I say 0.86 was it before? 0.86. You can't put all men on 0.86. They differ, you see. So anyway, there's there's women are all about sex. You can't say anything that they don't know. They know everything about sex. They've got men wrapped up on sex before he's even thought about it. But there's one thing that possibly women are not aware of, which is possibly the only possible thing that they don't know about. But they quite likely do, because they know everything. And what I had in mind when it came to me the other day was that women are disappointed with themselves in the mess they got themselves into. All this complaining about sex all the time, you know, and deep down, or maybe not too deep down, they are disappointed, with themselves. And they also seem to be looking unconsciously, without even realising, they're looking unconsciously for a sex prophet. He must be male, and he must come up with all the answers, the proper answers to what they, what's problem with them. They must come up, and they will know when the sex prophet comes. Well, these women, measles, they need not look any further, because there is a sex prophet about. And this sex prophet, he's the author of all romance. And he can make kissing so sweet that a woman can be on a mattress in Romance Street, to be formally known, as I've said, to be formally known as Courtenay Place in Wellington, and she could be on this mattress, and she could be kissed, and his kissing can be so sweet, better than the original, that that she just doesn't want to get up again, ever again, from Romance Street. His kissing can be that incredibly sweet. He can, the Holy Spirit is the author of all romance. He's into feelings of kissing, feelings of tits, how women get the feeling. Guys get the feeling, fastest tongue in the West, and 2 fingers in pussy. Men like it, women like it. He's got a perfect union there It's even magnetic, and the feelings is what he's into. You see, he's into feelings, and he's given that feelings to both men and women to enjoy, I suppose. He didn't make it for the museum. He didn't make it to be put up in the attic. He made it to be used and not complain about it. So he must be upset or whatever the Holy Spirit, it's this mess that New Zealand's in on sex matters. So I could just get back. I've got time to mention about when I'm talking about kissing being better than the original. There was a good cunt, he lived about 2,000 years ago, and he could give people arseholes, but he was a good cunt. He liked going to parties, actually, and he went to a certain amount of parties. He must have gone to a few parties or so, because the Pharisees referred to him as a wine bibbler. Anyway, this good cunt, this party cunt, he liked going to parties. As I say, he went to sufficient parties for the Pharisees to refer to him as I say, a wine bibbler. Anyway, this cunt's name was Jesus Christ. He's a good cunt. And as I say, he's going about healing people and that. And anyway, this is well known, actually, this particular incident by Bible people, but maybe some Christians don't, non-Christians don't, or non-Bible people won't know. But even Bible people don't know something that I want to bring up about this. And it's this. They ran out of wine at this particular party that Jesus was going to. As I say, he was a party goer. And as I say, they labelled him a wine bibbler. So they ran out of wine. And so Jesus, this good cunt Jesus, he got them to fill up a casket with water. This is well known by Christian people, religious people, but there's something they are not aware of, and I'll come to in a minute. So he filled it up with water and then told them to take it to the governor of the feast. So they did that, and the governor tasted it and said, to the effect, he said, at these parties, you always have the good wine first, but leave the inferior wine till last. But ye have left the good wine until now. But hang on a minute. Just wait a minute now. There's something that even religious people don't notice here about this. Is this that there was no change in that party. They already had the best wine, so they're now into the inferior wine. So this governor of the feast must have had a drink of wine, of the good wine, because he was at the party. So he must have had a drink of the good wine first. So they'd already had the good wine, and he had tasted the good wine, and now he gets this wine, which is better than the best wine. So therefore then, what Jesus went and done is he actually made this wine better than the original. You see? Because they'd already had the best wine, you see, and the governor of the feast, he had already tasted the best wine. But so therefore this wine must have been better than the best wine. So as Jesus was capable of making something better than the original, so the Holy Spirit he made kissing, he made the feeling of kissing, he's into feelings, he made all that for our enjoyment, I suppose. Otherwise, what's the good of having feelings unless you activate those feelings? What's the good of going down and buying something from the shop and end up throwing it out? I mean, it doesn't make sense. So it doesn't make sense for the Holy Spirit to give us these feelings, and it turns out to be just for the attic, turns out to be just for the museum. He made it to be used. So as Jesus made that wine better than the original wine, so the Holy Spirit can make kissing even sweeter. So that's when I said that a girl could be lying on a mattress in Romance Street and his kissing could be so incredibly sweet that she just doesn't want to get up again, ever again, from Romance Street. That's how sweet he can make kissing. And this is what he can do. So therefore, we're talking about here about a sex prophet. So he is the sex prophet, and he works through me. I'm just the errand boy to help him, because he spoke to me. See, he's a person. The Holy Spirit is a third person of the Godhead. As I mentioned before, I used to speak to Rees Howells. A photograph here of Rees Howells. You can see him here. I showed him before once. There, if you can see him, this Rees Howells here. I don't know. I don't know if you could see him there, but he got a baptism of love actually for orphans, and I thought that child there, what he was holding up, was an orphan, because he seemed to have love in his eyes there. I'll just have it show it to you again, and just see if you can see any love in his eyes. I thought I could see love. I'll show it to you again. So I don't know if you could see love in his eyes, but I thought I could. But he was a dud, really, Rees Howells. But I just sort of show you how he's a person. You can talk to him. Rees Howells and him used to have conversations together. And as I mentioned before, I'll mention it again, just to show you what the Holy Spirit can do. It wouldn't hurt to mention it bloody again. We had the situation where Hitler said that he would succeed where Napoleon failed, and actually it was a repetition actually of Napoleon and getting to Moscow before the winter. So the Germans had superior firepower. It overwhelmed the defences of the Russians. They weren't expecting it, you see. Too, they had a pact. They'd signed a pact with Hitler, and foolishly they were relying on that pact. But they didn't know that at 4 o'clock in the morning, one morning, they were attacked, and that they weren't prepared. That their forces weren't together at all, and it took about a week before they got together. And in that time, Hitler was getting 20 miles a day into Russia. Well, anyway, just briefly, I just wanted to mention about how the Holy Spirit is a person, and that we'll fast forward it now to Moscow, when Hitler would have taken Moscow, but for divine intervention, because the Germans could have taken Moscow there at one stage, but they didn't for some reason. So Rees Howells went to the radio to hear if Moscow had fallen. And the news came that Moscow hadn't fallen, but bad news was expected any time. And as he was going back from the radio, the Holy Spirit, who is a person he was working with, spoke to Rees Howells and said, is there any need for Moscow to fall? Why don't you pray to me that I will save the city and give these Nazis a setback? So Rees Howells, being the bloody idiot that he was a dumb cunt. He was a silly cunt, really, if you know Rees Howells. It was a yes and no situation with him. And here's a part of the no situation. When that Holy Spirit spoke to him, he just went stupid or bloody about it. His attitude was, oh, what does he mean? Pray that it won't fall. It's imminent. Moscow's going to fall. What the hell is this cunt talking bloody about here? Fuck me dead. Moscow's going to fall. What the fuck this cunt doing a bloody about sort of thing? See, he was a bloody idiot, really. But anyway, they settled down and they interceded, and then an early winter came, and you wouldn't believe it, and I'm trying to figure it out too, that 3 million of the crack German army died in the snow of an early winter. One German sentry, he was just encased in a block of ice. It was a vicious winter. It was maybe worse than an ordinary winter. But I was talking to somebody and I said, well, look, how could they get food in to feed 3 million men? In fact, it was more than that, because 3 million died. So they must have had about 5 million Germans in there. So I said to this woman, a prayer partner, we pray together, and I said to her, how the hell did they get this food? How do they get food in for all these men? And she said, oh, yes, they get food. They get trucks going all the time. They get trucks going in with food. And so I said, where do they get all the food from? And she said, she says they get it from the countries they take over. And so I spoke, but how are you going to get all these trucks? Depends on how far Moscow is into Russia. I haven't found that one out yet. It might not be too far in, perhaps. I don't know. But anyway, that was in the book anyway, by Wiesel's Intercessor by Norman Grubb. Anything about Norman Grubb can be counted as authentic, at least what he knows. They were personal friends too, Wiesel's and Norman Grubb. So it was written for accuracy too, and so that's why it brought out all the shit in Wiesel's, all the idiotic stuff. He's a bloody idiot, actually. But it was a yes and no situation with Wiesel's. But I haven't got time into anything more about Wiesel's. We've already been about 20 minutes or 25 minutes already. So I've only got about 10 minutes, so I'll best get on to what I was talking about. So I'll just mention that to show you that the Holy Spirit is a person. Yeah, that's right, he's a person. So anyway, that's right, we're talking about the sex prophet. So that's right, so the Holy Spirit spoke to me about 4 years ago in Courtenay Place in Wellington, and he said to me that he wants to heal the rift between the Christians and the world. There's a rift there, and he wants to heal it. And he also told me that he wants Courtenay Place changed to Romance Street or Love Street. So out of the two, I chose Romance Street. And then he said another thing, that he wanted he wanted to cherish this little street unto himself. Courtenay Place in Wellington. He wanted to cherish it unto himself. That's an honour for New Zealand, especially Wellington. And then I was to see a particular person, but I had problems there. I won't take any more time on that either. And so therefore, he is working with me, and I have to have him. Other bloody wise. See, I tried on my own strength there. A few years ago, I was running a Foxy mag, it was a Wellington Swinger mag. Alan Douglas had Key mag for Auckland. I had the Wellington Foxy mag, and then there was Players in Christchurch and Seekers Contact in Blenheim, and they were the Swinger mags throughout New Zealand. So anyway, I wrote in my magazine, I was editing and publishing Foxy mag, and I put in about an article about this rape thing being such bullshit. Well, anyway, at the time, the so-called indecent tribunal, you write a book, Rape Around Our Coasts, seized by the so-called indecent tribunal, only to find that it was on soil erosion. So anyway, they were in charge at the time. So make it briefly, I was fined $250 or so. And then when I saw the police going into shops and confiscating my magazine from those shops, I said to myself, I shall return. Like Kilroy, I shall return. But I knew that when I returned, I had to come back with the Holy Spirit. But I didn't realise that he was going to come to me about 4 years ago. So he's working with me on these videos. He wants to make New Zealand the greatest nation. He wants to heal up all this shit. The COVID-19, I'm working on it at the moment. As I've been on my videos, I've got no more time here. My time's getting up here. So I'll just try and get straight on to now what I think is a problem here with womanhood. They are disappointed and they're looking for the sex prophet. That's right. Unconsciously, subconsciously, they're looking for some kind of sex prophet to draw them out. And so the Holy Spirit's the one. I'm just his errand boy. Now there's two other things which I'll try and get in. Is that there's two other things that women are probably in certain percentage of them, as we see. See, we can't put all women on 0.86 like men, you see. So it's like this measles. So I think that a certain percentage of women would actually envy men because, envy men because how natural they are. You see, they could be fucked, as I say, day in and day out. There'd be no complaint for 10 years maybe. If there was a complaint, it'd be some kind of an oddball. So they know how natural men are, and they are so twisted up. Men are twisted up too, as I say. But they've got their problems, and they sort of, in fact, some of them could even be jealous over men, actually. But some could envy men. And that's the thing I particularly wanted to get across here today in this video, something new that came to me. Women, as I say, they're disappointed with the way they are. They disappointed. They are looking for unconsciously a sex prophet. He's there. We're working together with him. I am. So I've got about 44 videos on now, and I've got some viewers. And now I'm going to go to the radio and get my message I've got to go to reps on radio, TV, and we've got to knock this bloody virus out. It's easy. I've got videos on that. I can't put it on. My time's up here. I've got, how have we got 25, about 30 minutes. Oh, I've only got about 5 minutes left. Or 31. I've got about 5 minutes left here, I think. Less than that. So I must close now, measles. So that's what I think women are doing, is that some of them could be jealous, and some could not be. Well, they vary, you see. There's something I was going to say about that with womanhood. Oh yes, they're always complaining on sex, and so they know that there's something wrong. They know that they're not doing right, and they know they're just searching for the sex prophet, and he's there, and I'm his errand boy. So I think I've covered this video now on this. Oh yes, I was going to tell you one further thing. I was at a private hospital doing gardening, and this nurse came down parading herself in a bikini, so-called sunbathing, I say sex bathing. And anyway, after a while, she went up into the loft where she was staying in some sharp steps. And later on, I walked up the steps, and when she saw me, she gave this big start. Oh, she gave a start. And so all I mentioned to her was a shovel. I said it was about a shovel. I didn't say anything about wanting a kiss or fuck or can I put arms around you or some bloody thing like that. I didn't say anything. All I said to her was about a shovel. But you see, they know anything with sex. I can't exactly what I had in mind now to go up there. Maybe it's a start that she gave this big start. Oh, she took a start and she saw me. Well, anyway, she went and reported it to the manager of the place here. The manager. Well, hang on, what's this time? 33. Hang on, I think. I better close. It's going to 35 minutes. So anyway, what happened? He was very good about it. He just said, it's easier to get a gardener than it is a nurse. So he was probably afraid that she would leave, and it could have been that she was afraid that she'd get the sack. So maybe both were afraid of one another. It was said that Hitler was afraid of his associates. His associates were afraid of Hitler, and his associates were all afraid of one another. Well, I must close now. I think we've gone over 35 minutes. I think it's, can't quite see this. I better close now. So I got my message over about womanhood. I think that, as I say, they're disappointed with themselves. I mean, how could that woman go and complain like that? What was the advantage? I mean, it doesn't make sense. Women with guys wouldn't do that. So they're disappointed, you see, with themselves, I'm sure. It must be. And so they're looking for a sex prophet, and some of them, as I say, a percentage of them are probably envy men, and another percentage are jealous with men. But I must close then. It's about 35 now. I think I better close in the 30s. Otherwise, my friend can't find it if it goes over 40 minutes. So maybe in YouTube, maybe they keep it. They don't want it over 40 minutes, maybe, because you can't find it after 40 minutes. But when it's 35, he always finds it. So I must go then to you, Measles, too, and I must close this video then, and I'll catch up with you on another video. So this is Colin then signing off then. So bye for now. Colin signing off. Bye for now.